All right, let's talk about Malik Willis, a guy who many people thought could have gone number 2 overall just a year ago. Yes, that was a real conversation. Did not happen. He fell to round 3 and looked like he, maybe even round 3 was a reach given how he played last year. But we got to see a lot of him this preseason. If you look at his PFF grades this preseason, he had 164 total snaps, 86 passing snaps, and pretty consistently good PFF grades, over 70 all 3 games he played, and again, he had significant playing time in each of these 3 games, so pretty good stuff from him. If you compare that to his grades last year in another pretty decent sample size, his grade is significantly higher this year, over 13 points higher from the year prior. And you look at the passing grade, that's really the one that jumps out, as it went from a 54.9, which is an actively bad passing grade, to a 73.2, which is an actively good passing grade. So it's not like he's just someone like Zach Wilson might have had a good preseason, but he's always had good preseasons, so how much do you care about that? For Malik Willis, the fact that he has taken a step up is optimistic. But of course, PFF grades are just PFF grades. We have to watch some film as well. This, is called film studies, so let's study some film. First, let's start off with this play. There was some good, there was some bad in his preseason performance. Of course, this is going to be a 3rd down and 12 situation, and it's a pretty important play. You have a receiver running a one-on-one matchup on the outside, single safety deep. This is a very important play to see what these guys can do, right? One of the more difficult plays to pull off, but means a lot to your offense if you can pull it off. So a lot of times in the preseason, they like to see if these types of players can just make the plays here. So Willis is going to take the snap. He's going to look in that direction. He's going to fire in that direction. And there's a window here. Absolutely, there's a window for him to make this throw. And if he can hit it, this could be a big completion on an important 3rd down and 11. What does he do here? Well, he's going to actually pretty massively underthrow the football. And that's not because he doesn't have a big arm. He has a huge arm. That's obviously not the issue. It was just a missed throw. And, there were some of that. This was not a perfect preseason by any means, but I thought that for the most part, the good did outweigh the bad. Again, some of it was just the simple stuff, which is still important. I mean, again, he kind of did struggle his rookie year at the simple stuff, so it seems like the simple stuff has gotten a lot better. Play like this, it's zone coverage, and you have a receiver just running a route over the middle. Okay, simple enough. Willis is going to take the snap. He runs a play action, looks in that direction, and he has an open receiver, although he does have to get it there in a hurry. These holes look giant now, but they can close in a hurry at the NFL level. So Willis is going to have to make sure he gets it there quickly. But that's what he does, throws it there quickly. They're able to get a completion and, actually a pretty good broken tackle to get a little bit more yards there. But again, simple stuff, not the highest degree of difficulty type of play, but you don't necessarily need him to be going out there and looking like, Patrick Mahomes. Sometimes it's the little things. I mean, you compare someone like Patrick Mahomes and someone like Zach Wilson, who were considered similar prospects coming out. Patrick Mahomes got the little stuff down right away and then was able to do the awesome stuff. Zach Wilson couldn't figure out how to throw a screen pass, right? So you got to get the simple stuff down first before the great mobility and the great arm strength can really take root. This plays another interesting one where it's a man coverage play, single safety deep play. You have a receiver running over the middle. That's the route that Willis is going to want to throw to before the ball is snapped, which of course makes sense, right? This is a play that can absolutely work out. Good angle to make the throw. These kind of routes can beat man coverage, and there's no one covering the middle of the field. So also just one thing to note before we start to play, 3rd down and 5. So okay, again, preseason, meaningless, but still, it's an important play in a meaningless game, so let's see what happens. Willis is going to take the snap. He looks over, and he's going to fire in that direction. He likes what he sees, and there is, again, a bit of a window. It's not wide open, but, there's a window. Now, a good throw here doesn't just result in a completion. You can make an okay throw and probably get the completion because there is a window for sure. At the same time, though, you don't want to just get the completion here. In a perfect world, you can put it in an area where your receiver can run after the catch and maybe pick up more yards. So you want to lead your receiver. That's the ideal placement. And as you see, that's pretty much right where he did it. I mean, you could argue it was a hair low, but honestly, that's okay. The receiver didn't have to dive to make the catch or anything, so no real issue there. good tackle, but, if he broke a tackle, there could have been a touchdown on that play, potentially. So for me, I would certainly consider this to be a good throw from Willis. Also, something like this was interesting. There's a lot to talk about with this play in particular. So the way the concept works is it's a pretty simple concept. The New England Patriots are going to be in zone coverage right here. You have 3 eligible receivers who are lined up toward the offense's right, and they're all running routes. So tight ends running a quick curl route. You have the receiver who's going to be running a go route, and then you have the halfback where he's going to also run a route, kind of trying to get into, a little gap in coverage there. And typically the way that this play works is that the deep corner is going to stay deep with the wide receiver. Then with your other 2 eligible receivers, the way that New England should cover this is they should have their 2 players who are playing zone over the middle both cover each of those 2 players. But it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes someone covers someone else, and if that happens, then someone else can get open. Like, watch how when Willis takes a snap, you see how the players in zone kind of drop back into their area instead of going straight to who they should be covering. And because of this, the 2 players underneath both are kind of open. You can honestly throw to either one if you wanted to. Willis is not doing that. He's looking deep down the field, trying to decide if that deep route is one he should make or not, which is in many ways a mistake. In many ways, get through your progressions quicker and get to a guy underneath and gain some yards that way. But here's also the benefit of Malik Willis. As you see, he can scramble outside the pocket and still ends up hitting the halfback, who actually picks up more yards than he would have had Willis just made the throw initially. So I don't know how repeatable that is, but it's at least somewhat repeatable, and it kind of goes to show the mobility and the way that he can throw after moving around in a very real way. He is someone who, when he runs, it's been a criticism that sometimes he just runs, he doesn't look to throw, but it's nice to see him actually throwing right here. So, all that being said, what does this all mean? What have we learned here? What is the end result of a Malik Willis type player? Well, it's honestly something you could take several different ways. For me personally, I viewed Malik Willis as, I had him as my number 1 quarterback in that draft class, and part of why I did it was because A, it wasn't the strongest draft class, but B, I kind of just felt like the upside is worth it. Yes, he's a very raw player, but why not just see what he can potentially do? To be honest, from what I've seen with Will Levis and what I've seen from Malik Willis, I personally, I think I'd probably have Malik Willis as quarterback 2, although in fairness, I was a much bigger fan of Malik Willis coming out of college than Levis. I had Willis as I had Willis as a first-round talent. I did not have Levis as a first-round talent, although neither I thought were can't-miss prospects. But at the same time, I do think that there's, I just think it's an interesting situation with Willis and with Levis and all this situation. But he's always someone who we felt like has great potential, but isn't going to be great right away, which is also part of why I'm not as panicked about his awful rookie year if he starts to show more flashes the more we see of him. Whereas someone, I don't know who the other example would be. Maybe if Sam Howell sucked right away, I'd be like, okay, he probably just sucks because he was supposed to be NFL ready. That was kind of his selling point to some degree. Whereas for Willis, his whole selling point was he's going to suck right away, but might be good later on. He sucked right away, but now he might be good later on and is at least showing that he's getting better, which is cool to see. So yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.